You'll notice there's a text master template and then a bunch of other text templates. I'm going to start with the master, and once we get familiar with this, we can show you the difference between this and the others. I'll duplicate the default preset by pressing Command D, and then I'm going to name this SS text _ master demo. And so now what I need to do is populate this with the settings that I'd like. So let's make this box system text. I'll type my box system text as the text to fill that field. We'll change the font to Baghdad. And then I'm going to let's change the font size. Let's make it big. Let's make it 20. And I'd like it to be bold and subscript. And let's change the alignment as well to right align. Now I'm going to run this. So it's going to enter the text, open the inspector, and then make all the changes per my template. So we can see and confirm that it's right aligned. It's both subscript and bold. It's got the Baghdad font assigned, and the size is 20. So I'll close that out. I'll delete the text and go back to my template. I'm going to disable bold text, disable subscript, and I'm going to leave the defaults active for font size, text alignment, font type. And then we'll run it again, and you'll see that when it enters it, it will go to the document default settings. So it enters the text, and if you examine the inspector, you'll see that it's 7.2 by default. I didn't set that. That's just the default in the document, as well as left aligned and Palatino font. Okay, now let's go back to Soundflow. I'm going to show you how the other text templates differ from master. So master is kind of the catch-all. Now let's look at entry and type. So we'll look at the preset I've already made. It's got my text, and let's leave it at rehearsal mark. I've appended it with SS text, and then we'll look in text styles, and you'll see I have another preset called SS text, and that one is bold, and with bold enabled. Now the cool thing about these is that they can be stacked. So let's go to my packages. What I'm going to do is create a new package, and then I'm going to name it appropriately. So let's do Scott's SC for Sibelius control macros, because we're going to build a macro. And then I'll click that package, click the new button, click macro to make a new macro, and then let's name it something like just SS macro. And since it's a combo of two, let's call it combo, why not? I'm going to add an action. So I click the add action button, and then in the search field, I type SS text, and you'll see that by appending that, it made it come up very quickly in the search results. So I'll add the rehearsal mark thing first, and then the next action will be to make it bold. And so now that I have these stacked on top of each other, this macro will do both of those. Now let's run it. You'll see that the text appears, the inspector gets opened, and then it will make the text bold. So you absolutely can do it this way. You could also accomplish the same thing with the master text template. There may be cases where all you want to do is enter text and select what type of text entry you want. So I've parsed that out into separate command templates for users who may not want to mess with as many settings. So what I've done here is I've changed the text from my text to new stuff on that preset. Now I'm going to go back to the macro we just made. I'm going to run it, and you'll see that the text gets updated to new stuff, not my text. So all you have to do is make changes in your presets. You don't have to change anything on the macros if you've just stacked the actions on top of each other. Now I've just created a new deck in my package, and what I want to show you is that there's a few ways that you can get macros to populate those buttons. So one is to click the add existing command. If I do that, I'll have the same search bar that I would have in the search on the top left hand side of Soundflow, and I've got the result that I want. So if I assign it that way, then I have the macro mapped to that second button, and I can call it whatever I want in the text field. Another way, perhaps simpler, is to just pin the deck, and if you have the macro visible, drag it over, or you can navigate back to your preset after pinning the deck and drag it over. There is a third way to do this. Click the macro that you want, and then click the Add to Deck button on the right-hand side of the screen. And then you'll have a little drop down, and you can say, what do you want to add it to? So I'll say the deck that I created, click OK, and you'll see that it automatically went to the first empty slot, so that leftmost top left-hand corner of the deck. I'm going to assign this to launch on my machine, click the Show Deck button, and then as you can see, these are all the same macro, but I've mapped them to those buttons 3 different ways. So if I run it, they still do the same thing. It's getting a little crowded on there, but you can see that it works. And again, I'll just mention here that if you click on a button in your deck, you can go down to that title field and change the text to be whatever you want that to be. Remember, these are all the same commands, but you've seen that middle one, the My Pre 1, is the title field that I've edited. That's going to conclude our text templates tutorial. There's text master, which kind of is the catch-all, and then there's others that are parsed out into individual functions. So check these out for yourself, build some presets, and blaze through text entry.